The passenger liner Cosmic Harmony hummed through space with 3,000 souls aboard. Ambassador Yoon Dae-hyun sat in his private cabin, reviewing diplomatic files for the Vega Prime Summit. The meeting would decide trade agreements between Earth and 12 alien nations. His success could bring prosperity to human colonies for decades. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. The ship's computer announced a course change. Attention passengers. We are adjusting our route due to unexpected stellar conditions. This will add approximately 3 weeks to our journey. We apologize for any inconvenience, Dae-hyun frowned. 3 weeks was no small delay. He had studied the flight path carefully before departure. The direct route to Vega Prime passed through the outer edges of human space, then crossed neutral territory. It was well-traveled and safe. He pressed the communication button. This is Ambassador Yoon. I need to speak with Captain Nara immediately. The captain is busy with navigation matters, sir. She will contact you when available. Hours passed. Dae-hyun watched through his porthole as stars shifted in unfamiliar patterns. The ship was indeed taking a much longer path. Instead of the straight line through human territory, they were swinging far around it in a wide arc. At dinner in the main hall, other passengers shared his confusion. A merchant named Kim Woojin complained loudly to anyone who would listen. I have contracts waiting on Vega Prime, Woojin said. Every day of delay costs me money. What stellar conditions could be so bad that we must go around half the galaxy? An elderly woman, Professor Lee Jisoo, nodded in agreement. I have been traveling these routes for 40 years. I have never seen such a dramatic course change for weather. Dae-hyun noticed something odd. The ship's crew moved nervously through the dining hall. When passengers asked questions about the delay, crew members gave quick, vague answers before hurrying away. The human crew members looked worried, but the alien staff seemed genuinely frightened. The next day brought more strange observations. Through the observation deck windows, Dae-hyun watched other ships in the distance. Every vessel he could see was following the same wide path around human space. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, even small private craft were taking the long route. He asked the ship's library computer to show him current traffic patterns. The display revealed something impossible. According to official records, dozens of ships were traveling through human space on direct routes, but his own eyes showed him empty space where those ships should be. Someone was lying. Either the computer records were false or every ship in the sector was hiding its true position. That evening, Dae-hyun decided to find Captain Nara himself. He made his way through the ship's corridors toward the bridge. Most passengers were at dinner or entertainment shows, so the halls were quiet. He found Captain Nara in her ready room, staring at star charts with a worried expression. She was a small woman with graying hair, known for her calm demeanor and professional skill. Now she looked tired and stressed. Captain Nara, Dae-hyun said, entering without permission. I need answers. She looked up, startled. Ambassador, you should not be here. Bridge areas are restricted during navigation operations. Then, come to my cabin and explain why we are taking a route that adds 3 weeks to our journey. Nara's hands shook slightly as she closed the star chart display. There are solar storms in the direct route area. Very dangerous for ships our size. Captain, I have been watching other ships. Every vessel in this sector is avoiding human space. All of them. That is not coincidence. The captain stood and walked to her small window. She stared out at the stars for a long moment. You should return to your cabin, Ambassador. Not until you tell me the truth. Nara turned back to face him. Her professional mask was cracking. Fear showed in her eyes. Some truths are dangerous to know, she said quietly. More dangerous than traveling blind into whatever situation awaits us at Vega Prime. The captain sat down heavily in her chair. She looked suddenly older, as if the weight of years had settled on her shoulders all at once. You want the truth, Ambassador? The truth is that no non-human ship is allowed to enter human space, ever. It is forbidden by galactic law that your government does not know exists. Dae-hyun felt the room grow cold. What are you talking about? There is a directive, issued by the Galactic Maritime Council 50 years ago. Any non-human vessel that enters human territory will be destroyed without warning. Any crew member who violates this directive will be erased from all records. Their families will be told they died in accidents. That is impossible. We have trade relationships with dozens of species. Ships visit Earth regularly. Captain Nara laughed, but there was no humor in it. Those are all human ships with human crews, Ambassador. Some carry alien passengers or cargo, but the vessels themselves are registered to human companies with human captains. Daehyun's mind raced. Why? What could justify such a policy? Nobody knows the full reason. The directive comes from the highest levels of alien governments. They call it the containment protocol. Human space is treated like a quarantine zone. Quarantine from what? The captain stood and walked to a secured cabinet. She pulled out a small device and activated it. A holographic display showed what looked like an ancient star map. 3 months ago, my ship was hired to transport archaeological materials from Kepler Station. One of the researchers let me see this. It is a copy of star charts found in alien ruins, charts that are over 50,000 years old. The map showed familiar star patterns, but there was a blank space where human territory should be. Even 50,000 years before humans left Earth, that region was marked as forbidden. The researchers think humans are not supposed to exist where they do. They think your species is living in a place that was forbidden long before Earth even developed life. Daehyun stared at the ancient map. Who made this directive? Which government has that kind of power over all alien species? That is the truly frightening part, Ambassador. Nobody claims responsibility. The directive appeared simultaneously in every major alien government. No debates, no negotiations, no dissent. Every species simply accepted it as natural law. The ship shuddered slightly as it adjusted course again, swinging even further around human space. How long has this been happening? Since first contact, Ambassador. Your people have been isolated and contained from the very beginning. The question is not why they are doing this. Captain Nara deactivated the hologram and returned the device to its cabinet. The question is what they are so afraid of, that they would unite every alien species in the galaxy to keep you locked away. Outside the porthole, stars continued their ancient dance, but now they seemed different to Daehyun, not welcoming points of light leading to new worlds and friendships, but distant watchers keeping careful track of humanity's movements. The ambassador left the captain's ready room with more questions than answers, and the growing certainty that the summit at Vega Prime would be unlike anything his government had prepared him for. Dr. Anmire brushed dust from the ancient stone tablet, her hands trembling with excitement. The archaeological site on Kepler 442b had already yielded incredible discoveries, but this tablet was different. The symbols carved into its surface were unlike anything she had seen in 20 years of xenoarchaeology. Jinhwan, come look at this, she called to her research partner. Professor Kim Jinhwan set down his scanning equipment and walked over to her workstation. The underground chamber they were excavating had once been part of a vast library, belonging to a civilization that died out millions of years ago. The Kathmori had left behind thousands of stone tablets and crystal data storage devices, before vanishing without explanation. What did you find? Jinhwan asked, adjusting his glasses to peer at the tablet. Star charts, Mireille said. But look at this section here. She pointed to a detailed map of the local galactic arm. The carved symbols showed star systems, trade routes, and territorial boundaries, with remarkable accuracy. But there was something wrong with it. See this empty space? It covers exactly the region where human colonies exist today, but these charts are from long before Earth even had complex life forms. Jinhwan frowned. Maybe it was unexplored territory back then? No, look closer. There are symbols around the edges. My translation software suggests they mean something like forbidden ground or the sleeping place. Miri activated her portable computer and called up modern galactic maps. When she overlaid them on the ancient chart, the match was perfect. The blank space on the Kathmori chart corresponded exactly to current human space. That has to be coincidence, Jinhwan said, but his voice lacked conviction. Let me check the other tablets. Mireille spent the next 6 hours examining every star chart they had discovered in the ruins. The pattern was consistent. Every single map showed the same blank region where human territory now existed. Some tablets marked it with warning symbols. Others simply left it empty, as if that part of space did not exist. The next day, they received a supply delivery from the orbital trading station. The transport pilot was a friendly alien named Vex, who had made regular runs to their dig site for months. But when Vex saw the ancient charts displayed on Mirai's workspace, his reaction was immediate and extreme. The pilot's blue skin turned pale gray. His forearms began shaking and he dropped the supply container he was carrying. Where did you find these? Vex asked in broken standard. In the ruins, Mirai replied. They are Kethmori star charts. Very old but remarkably detailed. You should not have these. Very dangerous. Very bad. They are just historical artifacts, Jinhuan said. Academic research materials. Vex backed toward the exit of their research station. Humans not supposed to see old maps. Big trouble coming now. What do you mean? Mirai asked. What kind of trouble? But the alien was already running toward his transport. Within minutes, his ship was leaving the planet's atmosphere. That evening, Mirai and Jinhuan discussed what had happened over dinner in their small habitat dome. His reaction was completely irrational, Jinhuan said. They were just old star charts. Maybe not just old charts, Mirai replied. I spent the afternoon running deep analysis on the symbols. The translation software found more details. She activated her tablet and showed him her work. The warnings around the blank space are very specific. They talk about the inheritors and those who sleep until the stars are right. Sounds like ancient mythology. Maybe. But look at this. Mirai pulled up another section of text. This part talks about preparing for their return and maintaining the galaxy until the Guardians wake. Jinhuan studied the translations. You think the Kethmori believed something lived in that region of space? Something that would eventually come back? I think they believed something was sleeping there, and they were afraid of what would happen when it woke up. The next morning brought unwelcome visitors. 3 alien ships appeared in orbit around Kepler 442b. They did not respond to communication, attempts from the research station. Mirai and Jinhuan watched from their observation dome as shuttles descended toward their location. The ships were of different designs, suggesting they came from different species working together. Should we hide the tablets? Jinhuan asked. Too late for that, Mirai replied. They already know we have them. The alien delegation that entered their research station included representatives from 4 different species. Their leader was tall and gray with large black eyes that seemed to see everything at once. He spoke in perfect standard. I am Negotiator Prime Zeltar of the Galactic Heritage Council. You have discovered materials that threaten galactic security. We are conducting legal archaeological research, Mirai said. We have all proper permits. Your permits do not cover materials that could destabilize interstellar relations, Zeltar replied. The tablets you have found must be surrendered immediately. These are priceless historical artifacts. They belong in a museum, not locked away by politicians. The alien's expression hardened. Dr. An, you do not understand the situation. Those tablets contain information that certain species are not ready to learn. The knowledge could cause panic and war. Jinhuan stepped forward. What information? They are just old star charts. They are maps of the galaxy before the Great Containment, another alien said. This one was smaller, with green skin and too many teeth. They show things that must remain hidden. Containment of what? Mirai demanded. Zeltar exchanged glances with his companions. For a moment, he seemed to be debating how much to reveal. There are species in this galaxy that developed beyond their intended limits, he said finally. Species that became too powerful, too dangerous. The ancient civilizations learned to contain them for the good of all. You are talking about humans, Mirai said. It was not a question. The silence in the room was answer enough. The humans are the contained species, she continued. That is why the old charts show their territory is forbidden. You have been keeping humanity locked in a box for thousands of years. Not locked, the green alien said. Protected. And protecting others from them. What are you so afraid of? Jinhuan asked. Zeltar walked to the display showing the ancient charts. He studied them for a long moment. We are afraid that someday they will remember who they used to be, he said quietly. And when that day comes, the galaxy will change in ways we cannot control. The aliens took all the tablets and crystal storage devices. They also took copies of all research data and translation work. But they could not take the knowledge that was now in Mirai's and Jinhuan's minds. After the ships left orbit, the 2 researchers sat in their empty laboratory, surrounded by gaps where priceless artifacts had been stored. We have to tell someone about this, Mirai said. Tell them what? That aliens think humans are dangerous? That we used to be something different? We have to tell them that humanity has been living in a cage, Mirai replied, and that our jailers are getting nervous about something. Outside their dome, the alien sun set over the excavation site where million-year-old secrets had been buried once again. But some secrets once discovered refused to stay hidden. That night, Mireille began composing a message to send to Earth through secure channels. The aliens had taken their evidence, but they could not stop the truth from spreading. Somewhere in human space, people needed to know that they were not alone in the galaxy. And more importantly, they needed to know that they were not free. Ambassador Lee Soo-yun arrived at Crossroads Station expecting routine trade negotiations. The neutral hub floated in empty space between 3 star systems, serving as a meeting ground for species that preferred not to visit each other's worlds. She had attended dozens of similar conferences here over the past 5 years. This time felt different. The station's usually busy docking bays were nearly empty except for 12 ships representing the galaxy's major powers. Security was unusually tight, and the alien staff avoided eye contact with her. Her assistant, Park Min-ho, noticed it too. "Something has them spooked," he whispered as they walked through eerily quiet corridors toward the conference center. "Maybe there was a recent incident we were not informed about," Soo-yun replied. But she felt uneasy. The conference room was circular, with seats arranged around a central holographic display. Representatives from 12 species were already present when she arrived. She recognized most of them from previous meetings, but their usual friendly greetings were replaced by nervous nods. High Counselor Vexai of the Meridian Collective called the session to order. The tall, silver-skinned alien was known for his diplomatic skills and calm demeanor. Today he seemed tense and troubled. "Thank you all for coming," Vexai began. "This emergency session addresses a matter of galactic security that affects all our peoples." Soo-hyun leaned forward. No one had told her this was about security matters. Recent archaeological discoveries have raised concerns about historical events that some believed were safely buried in the past, Vexai continued. Information has surfaced that could destabilize our carefully maintained peace. The holographic display activated, showing what appeared to be ancient stone tablets covered with alien symbols. These artifacts were discovered by human researchers 3 weeks ago. They contain star charts and historical records from the extinct Keth-Mori civilization. Soo-hyun studied the hologram. The charts looked similar to modern galactic maps, but with strange blank spaces. The concerning element is not what these charts show, but what they reveal about patterns we hoped would remain unnoticed. Representative Kaldeen of the Helix Confederation spoke up. "High Counselor, perhaps you should be more direct. The human ambassador deserves to understand why she has been brought here." All eyes turned to Soo-hyun. She felt a chill run down her spine. "I was told this was a trade conference," she said carefully. "It is about trade," Vexai replied. "Specifically about whether trade with humanity can continue under current circumstances." The display changed to show a series of overlapping maps, ancient charts from different extinct civilizations, all showing the same blank region of space. 12 separate ancient species marked the area now occupied by human colonies as forbidden territory. This was done thousands of years before humans achieved spaceflight. "Maybe it was a dangerous region back then," Soo-hyun suggested. "Unstable stars or spatial anomalies." "That was our hope as well," said Counselor Zethak of the Crystal Union, "until we analyzed the patterns more carefully." The display zoomed in on human space, showing colony locations and expansion patterns over the past century. Human settlements follow exact routes that ancient civilizations marked as inheritance paths and awakening trails. The correlation is not coincidental. Soo-hyun felt the room growing colder. "What are you suggesting?" Vexai activated another section of the display. This showed what appeared to be a prophecy or historical record, translated into standard language. "This is from the ruins of the first civilization, the oldest known sapient species in our galaxy. It speaks of the inheritors who would emerge from the cradle of silence to reclaim what was once theirs." The text described beings who would awaken after a long sleep, beings who would remember their ancient power and reshape the galaxy according to their will. "Every detail matches human characteristics," continued Vexai. "Rapid technological advancement that surpasses normal evolutionary patterns, instinctive understanding of ancient alien technology, biological adaptability that should not be possible, and genetic sequences that do not occur in natural evolution," added Dr. Veltar. The Confederation's chief xenobiologist, Soo-hyun, stood up abruptly. "Are you accusing humanity of being some kind of ancient threat?" "We are stating facts," Kaldin said. Human DNA contains artificial markers consistent with advanced genetic engineering. Your species was designed, Ambassador, not evolved. The room fell silent. Soo-hyun looked around at 12 alien faces, all watching her with expressions ranging from fear to pity. Even if that were true, which I do not accept, what does it matter? Humans today are peaceful. We seek cooperation, not conquest. Because you do not remember, whispered Representative Morden of the Shadow Compact. The ancient records speak of a sleeping period, a time when the inheritors would forget their true nature until the proper moment. Vexhai manipulated the display again. This time it showed modern human space with disturbing new information overlaid. 3 months ago, automated systems began activating in human territory. Ancient installations that your own governments do not know exist. They are responding to signals we cannot identify or block. That is impossible, Soo-hyun said. We would know about alien installations in our space. Not alien installations, Keldin corrected. Human installations. Built by your species long ago and left dormant until now. The implications hit Soo-hyun like a physical blow. You are saying humans built an ancient galactic civilization? We are saying humans were the ancient galactic civilization, Vexhai replied. The first civilization that all others remember in legends and warnings. The display showed archaeological evidence from across the galaxy. Ruins on dozens of worlds, all bearing the same architectural styles. All containing genetic markers matching human DNA. All abandoned at roughly the same time millions of years ago. Your ancestors ruled this entire galaxy. Then they vanished, leaving only scattered colonies like Earth to preserve the species in a dormant state. Why? Soo-hyun asked. Why would they abandon an empire? The records suggest they detected a threat so great that the only defense was to hide and wait. They scattered themselves across the galaxy in small, isolated groups and went to sleep. Genetically programmed to awaken when the threat passed. Representative Silmar of the Voidwalkers spoke for the first time. The activation of ancient human systems suggests that the awakening time has arrived. Your people will soon remember who they truly are. Soo-hyun sank back into her chair. What do you want from me? We want assurance that humanity will not reclaim its ancient territories, Vexhai said. That you will remain content with your current small portion of space. And if we refuse? The silence stretched uncomfortably. Then the galaxy must prepare for the return of its former masters, Khaldin said quietly, and hope that the humans of today are more benevolent than their ancestors. Soo-hyun looked around the room one more time. These were not enemies or conquerors. They were frightened children terrified of their parents coming home. I need to contact Earth immediately, she said. Communication with human space has been difficult lately, Vexhai admitted. The ancient installations are interfering with standard transmissions. Then I need to return home. We were hoping you would remain here as a liaison, Silmar said. Until we understand what humanity intends to do with their awakening heritage. Soo-hyun realized that she was not a diplomat anymore. She was a hostage. How long have you known? She asked. Some of us have always known, Morden replied. We have been watching and waiting for this day since our civilizations first reached the stars. Everything we have built, all our technology and culture, has been preparation for your return. Outside the conference room windows, the stars looked different to Soo-hyun now. Not points of light marking friendly neighbors, but the scattered remnants of humanity's forgotten empire. Somewhere out there, ancient machines were awakening. And with them, the true nature of the species that called itself human was about to be revealed to a galaxy that had spent millions of years both fearing and preparing for this moment. Captain Park Dong-hyun stood on the bridge of the deep space exploration vessel New Horizon, watching the stars shift as they prepared to leave human space for the first time. The ship was humanity's most advanced vessel, equipped with experimental faster-than-light drives and diplomatic facilities for first contact situations. Final system check complete, reported pilot Han Ji-young from her station. All systems green for boundary crossing. Engineer Choi Si-wan looked up from his console. Captain, I'm reading some unusual energy signatures ahead. Might be worth investigating before we proceed. Dong-hyun studied the sensor displays. Strange objects appeared to be floating in empty space at the edge of human territory, arranged in a perfect geometric pattern stretching for thousands of kilometers. Take us in for a closer look, he ordered. As New Horizon approached the mysterious objects, their true nature became clear. They were not natural formations or alien artifacts. They were massive space stations, clearly artificial but built with technology that seemed far beyond human capabilities. "Captain," Ji-young said, her voice filled with wonder, "these stations are broadcasting identification codes. Human identification codes." "That is impossible," Si-won replied. "We would know about installations this size in our own territory." The stations were enormous, each one the size of a small moon. Their surfaces were covered with sensor arrays, weapon emplacements, and devices whose purposes were completely unknown. They hung in space like sleeping giants, dark and silent but clearly functional. "Run a full scan," Dong-hyun ordered. "I want to know everything about these structures." The results were more confusing than helpful. The stations appeared to be millions of years old, but their power systems were still active. Their construction materials included elements that did not exist in current human technology. Most disturbing of all, their computer systems were responding to New Horizons' approach. "Captain, one of the stations is hailing us," Ji-young reported. "Put it through." A voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect standard but with an accent that sounded somehow archaic. "Vessel New Horizon, you are cleared for approach to Sentinel Station 7. Prepare for biometric identification of command personnel." Dong-hyun exchanged glances with his crew. "This is Captain Park Dong-hyun of the Earth Federation vessel New Horizon. Please identify yourself." Identity confirmed through voice pattern analysis. "Welcome home, Captain. Sentinel Station 7 has been waiting for your arrival." A docking bay opened in the side of the nearest station, large enough to accommodate New Horizon completely. Navigation lights activated, guiding them inside. "Captain," Si-won said nervously, "should we really dock with an unknown installation?" "Unknown to us, maybe," Dong-hyun replied, "but apparently not unknown to them." The docking procedure was flawlessly automated. Atmospheric seals engaged, artificial gravity activated, and an airlock connected to their ship. The station's computer invited them to come aboard. The interior of Sentinel Station 7 was beyond anything Dong-hyun had ever seen. Corridors stretched for kilometers in every direction, lined with equipment that hummed with quiet power. Everything was clean and perfectly maintained, as if the station had been built yesterday rather than millions of years ago. "The architecture," Ji-young whispered. "It looks almost human, but wrong somehow. Like it was designed by humans from a completely different culture." They were greeted by a holographic figure that appeared in the main corridor. It looked human, but with subtle differences that made it seem both familiar and alien. The figure wore clothes that might have been a uniform, but in a style that had never existed in human history. "Captain Park," the hologram said, "I am Custodian Prime, guardian of this installation. You and your crew are the first humans to visit Sentinel Station 7 in 847,392 years." "That would be impossible," Si-won said. "Humans have only been in space for a few centuries." "Humans from Earth, yes," the custodian replied. "But not humans in general. Your species is much older than your current civilization believes." The hologram gestured for them to follow. It led them through vast chambers filled with incomprehensible machinery, past windows that looked out on star fields that seemed subtly wrong. "This station and 11 others like it form a defensive perimeter around what you now call human space," the custodian explained. "We have been maintaining watch for the return of the great threat, while waiting for our creators to awaken from their long sleep." "What creators?" Dong-hyun asked, though he was beginning to fear the answer. "The human civilization that built this galaxy's first interstellar empire. Your ancestors, Captain, though separated by so much time that they might as well be a different species entirely." They entered a vast chamber, dominated by a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Thousands of star systems were marked with different colors and symbols. A large section around Earth glowed with warm blue light. "This is the current state of galactic civilization," the custodian said. "The blue region represents space controlled by modern humans. The other colors represent the various species that developed during humanity's dormant period." "Developed how?" Ji-young asked. "They were created by the ancient humans as caretaker species, enhanced from primitive life forms to maintain galactic civilization while humanity slept." The map zoomed in on different regions. Each alien territory was marked with symbols indicating their original species and the modifications made by their human creators. "You are saying that all the alien species in the galaxy are artificial?" Si-won asked. "Not artificial. Enhanced. Your ancestors found primitive life on thousands of worlds and guided their evolution, creating sapient species capable of maintaining technology and culture. Why? The custodian's expression grew solemn. Because something was coming. Something so dangerous that the only defense was to hide and prepare a trap that would take millions of years to set. The chamber's displays changed to show deep space images. In the darkness between galaxies, something vast and dark moved toward their spiral arm. The Devourers, a force that consumes entire galaxies, converting matter and energy into more of themselves. They move slowly, but they are inevitable. How long do we have? Donghyun asked. Approximately 50 Earth years until they reach the outer systems. Your awakening is precisely timed, Captain. The ancient humans calculated this moment down to the century. The station suddenly came alive around them. Lights brightened. Machinery that had been silent for millions of years began to hum with power, and the walls themselves seemed to pulse with energy. What is happening? Ji-young asked. Your presence here has activated the awakening protocol, the custodian explained. Sentinel stations throughout human space are coming online. The recall signal is being broadcast to every human colony and outpost. Recall signal? Instructions to remember, Captain. Your people carry genetic programming that has been dormant for millions of years. The signal will activate those memories and abilities. Through the station's windows, they could see other installations lighting up in the distance. The defensive perimeter that had guarded human space in secret was revealing itself. The alien species know about this, Siwon said. They have been expecting it. Of course. They were programmed to know. Every aspect of their civilizations has been preparation for this moment. When the Devourers arrive, the galaxy will need to unite under experienced leadership. Human leadership, Donghyun said. The leadership of the only species that has faced the Devourers before and survived. The captain looked at his crew, seeing his own mixture of wonder and fear reflected in their faces. What happens to the humans who do not want to remember, who prefer their current lives to whatever we used to be? The custodian was quiet for a moment. That choice will be theirs to make, Captain. But they should understand that forgetting will not stop what is coming. The Devourers do not care about politics or preferences. They consume everything. Alarms began sounding throughout the station. The galactic map showed new activity as other installations came online across human space. The awakening has begun, the custodian announced. After 392 years of waiting, humanity is about to remember its true nature. Through the station's communication systems, they could hear transmissions from across human space. Confused reports from colonies as ancient installations revealed themselves. Panic from Earth as orbital platforms that should not exist powered up and began broadcasting. Donghyun realized that his simple exploration mission had just changed the course of galactic history. The question now was whether humanity would embrace its forgotten past or fight against a destiny that had been planned for millions of years. Outside the station, stars that had seemed familiar now looked different, marked with the infrastructure of an empire that predated recorded history. Fleet Admiral Oh Sun-hee led humanity's hastily assembled diplomatic fleet toward the neutral meeting point at Kepler Station. 3 weeks had passed since the awakening protocol activated, and the galaxy was in chaos. Human installations that should not exist had revealed themselves across dozens of star systems. Alien governments were demanding explanations that Earth could not provide. The diplomatic fleet consisted of 7 ships carrying humanity's best negotiators, scientists, and military advisors. Their mission was simple in concept but terrifying in practice. Prevent a galactic war while learning the truth about humanity's origins. Admiral, called Commander Yang Yunji from the communication station. We are receiving a transmission from the alien delegation. They are requesting permission to send a medical team aboard our flagship. Medical team? Sun-hee frowned. For what purpose? They want to collect genetic samples from our crew. Something about confirming biological markers. Dr. Kang Hyun-woo, the fleet's chief xenobiologist, looked up from his research station. Admiral, I recommend we agree to their request. I have been analyzing the data from the Sentinel stations, and there are aspects of human genetics that do not make sense. Explain. Human DNA contains sequences that should not exist in naturally evolved organisms, complex genetic instructions that appear to be artificially designed. If the alien species have been studying us, they might have answers we need. Sun-hee considered the risks. Very well. But I want our own medical team present during any procedures. The meeting took place aboard Kepler Station, in a specially prepared conference facility. The alien delegation included representatives from 16 different species, more than had ever gathered in one place before. Their leader was High Counselor HFY, whom Sun He recognized from diplomatic reports. Admiral O, HFY said as she entered the conference chamber. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. The situation has become critical for all our peoples. Critical how? Sun He asked, taking her seat at the circular table. The room's holographic display activated, showing a map of the galaxy with human space marked in blue and alien territories in various other colors. In the past 3 weeks, automated systems throughout human space have begun broadcasting recall signals. These transmissions are affecting our populations in ways we did not anticipate. Representative Khaldeen of the Helix Confederation leaned forward. Admiral, our people are experiencing what can only be described as genetic memories. Images and knowledge that do not belong to them but feel completely familiar. What kind of knowledge? Dr. Kang asked. Technical specifications for devices our civilizations never invented. Star charts showing regions of space we have never explored. And most disturbing of all, a sense of duty and loyalty directed toward humanity. The display changed to show biological data that made Dr. Kang gasp in surprise. These are genetic analysis results from 16 different alien species. HFY explained. Each one shows artificial modifications consistent with advanced bioengineering. We were not naturally evolved species, Admiral. We were created. Sun He felt the room grow colder. Created by whom? By your ancestors, replied Counselor Zithak of the Crystal Union. Ancient humanity modified primitive life forms across the galaxy, enhancing them to sapience and programming them with specific instincts and capabilities. Dr. Kang was studying the genetic data with growing amazement. This is incredible work. The modifications are seamlessly integrated into natural evolutionary patterns. It would take millions of years of careful guidance to achieve this level of sophistication. Millions of years that ancient humanity had, said Dr. Veltar, the alien xenobiologist. Your species ruled this galaxy for longer than most stars burn. They had time to perfect the art of creating servants. Servants, Sun He repeated the word with distaste. More accurately, stewards, HFY corrected. Each species was designed for specific roles in maintaining galactic civilization. The Meridians were created to be administrators and diplomats. The Helix Confederation became engineers and builders. The Crystal Union specialized in scientific research and data preservation. The implications were staggering. You are saying that every major alien civilization exists only because humans created them. Not the humans you know today, Khaldeen said. Ancient humanity was something far beyond your current capabilities. They reshaped the galaxy according to their vision, then went into hiding when something threatened their empire. What kind of threat? The display showed deep space images of something vast and dark moving between galaxies. The Devourers, HFY said, a force that consumes matter and energy from entire galaxies, converting everything into more of themselves. Ancient humanity detected their approach and calculated that the only defense was a trap that would take millions of years to prepare. They scattered themselves into small, isolated colonies like Earth, continued Zithak. They programmed their created species to maintain and develop galactic civilization, preparing for the day when humanity would awaken and lead the final defense. Dr. Kang was frantically analyzing the genetic data. Admiral, I am finding the same artificial markers in human DNA. We were modified too, just like the alien species. Modified how? Genetic switches that activate under specific conditions, memory engrams that can be triggered by external signals, and most significantly biological interfaces that allow direct connection to advanced technology systems. The alien representatives exchanged glances that seemed both fearful and hopeful. The activation signals from your sentinel stations are triggering these modifications in human populations, Dr. Veltar explained. Your people are beginning to remember their true capabilities. What capabilities? Sun He demanded. HFY activated another section of the display. This showed footage from human colonies across the galaxy. People were demonstrating abilities that should not be possible. Direct mental interface with computer systems, intuitive understanding of alien technology, and most disturbing of all, an instinctive knowledge of how to command and control other species. Your colonists are accessing genetic memories millions of years old, Khaldin said. They are becoming what their ancestors were, the masters of galactic civilization. And how do your people feel about that? Commander Yang asked. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Some of our populations are accepting it, Vex-High admitted. The genetic programming is strong. They feel compelled to obey and serve humanity, as their ancestors were designed to do. Others are fighting against their programming, Sithak added. They do not want to surrender their independence even if their independence was artificial from the beginning. And that is causing civil wars across multiple species, Dr. Veltar said. Our people are literally fighting against their own genetic nature. Admiral Sun He stood and walked to the chamber's viewing port. Outside, she could see ships from 16 different species, some flying in perfect formation while others maintained defensive positions against their own allies. What do you want from us? She asked. We want to know if modern humanity will honor the original compact, Vex-High said. Will you resume your role as galactic leaders and prepare the defense against the Devourers? Or will you allow us to choose our own path, even if it means the galaxy falls to the approaching threat? Sun He turned back to face the alien delegation. 16 different species, all looking to humanity for guidance they were genetically programmed to need. And if we refuse to lead, then our programming will eventually override our conscious resistance, Khaldin said quietly. We will serve you whether you want us to or not because that is what we were made to do. Dr. Kang looked up from his data analysis. Admiral, there is something else. The genetic modifications in humans include fail-safe mechanisms. If humanity refuses to accept its role, the programming in alien species will become more aggressive, forcing the issue. Forcing it how? By making it impossible for alien civilizations to function without human oversight. Their technology will stop working, their governments will collapse, and their populations will become dependent on humanity for basic survival. The weight of millions of years of genetic engineering and social planning settled on Sun He's shoulders. Humanity had not asked for this responsibility, but their ancestors had made the choice for them. How long do we have to decide? The Devourers will reach the outer galaxy in 50 Earth years, Vex-High replied. But the genetic programming in alien populations is accelerating. We estimate that within 6 months, most species will be unable to resist their compulsion to serve humanity. And if we try to stop the programming? Dr. Veltar's expression was grim. The failsafes are too deeply integrated. Attempting to remove them would likely cause genetic collapse in most alien species, death on a galactic scale. Commander Yang spoke up. What about finding a middle path? Some way for humans and aliens to work together as equals? The ancient humans were very thorough, Khaldin said. The programming does not allow for equality. Only service or rebellion, and rebellion leads to system failure. Admiral Sun He realized that humanity was facing an impossible choice. Accept their role as galactic rulers and doom alien species to eternal servitude, or refuse and watch civilizations collapse as their genetic programming turned against them. There may be a Nadi. Commander Yang Yunji stood on the command deck of the research vessel Discovery, watching the ancient genetic engineering facility emerge from the depths of a dead planet. 6 months had passed since the joint expedition began, and the galaxy was tearing itself apart. Facility breach in 10 minutes, reported her second-in-command, Lieutenant Nam Ji-hoon. Both human and alien teams are ready for entry. The facility was buried beneath kilometers of rock on a world that had been dead for millions of years. According to the genetic memories awakening in humans across the galaxy, it was one of 12 master laboratories where ancient humanity had perfected the art of creating servant species. Commander, called Dr. Shin Yerim from the science station. We are receiving reports from the Outer Rim. 3 more alien governments have fallen to civil war. The programming conflicts are getting worse, Yang nodded grimly. Across the galaxy, alien populations were splitting into factions. Some embraced their genetic compulsion to serve humanity and demanded that their governments surrender to Earth's authority. Others fought desperately against the programming, often destroying their own civilizations in the process. Any word from the Meridian Collective? She asked. High Counselor Vex-High reports that 60% of their population has entered voluntary servitude to human colonies. The remaining 40% have retreated to isolated systems and declared independence. It was the same pattern everywhere. The awakening protocol had triggered genetic programming that was too strong to ignore, but too repugnant for many aliens to accept. The result was chaos on a galactic scale. "Commander," Dr. Kang Hyunwoo called from his mobile laboratory, "the facility entrance is responding to human biometrics. It recognizes our genetic signatures as authorized users." Yang led a mixed team of human and alien researchers into the ancient complex. The corridors were pristine despite their age, maintained by automated systems that had waited millions of years for their creators to return. The central laboratory was vast, filled with genetic engineering equipment that made current technology look primitive. Holographic displays showed the biological templates for dozens of species, including detailed modification histories. "This is incredible," whispered Dr. Veltar, the alien xenobiologist. "We can see exactly how our ancestors were changed. Every modification, every added instinct, every programmed behavior." Dr. Kang was analyzing data from a different section. "Yang, look at this. The human genetic templates are here too." Ancient humanity modified themselves just as extensively as they modified alien species. Modified how? Enhanced intelligence, extended lifespan, direct neural interfaces with technology. But also something else. Genetic switches that would activate when certain conditions were met. Yang studied the data. What conditions? The approach of the Devourers. Ancient humanity programmed themselves to become something more than human when the final threat arrived. Dr. Yerim called out from across the laboratory. "I found the master control systems for the genetic programming. It is possible to modify the alien compulsions, but the process is complex." "How complex?" Yang asked. "It would require individual treatment for every modified alien in the galaxy. Billions of procedures over decades of work. And we have less than 50 years before the Devourers arrive," Dr. Veltar pointed out. Yang was studying the facility's main display when alarms began sounding throughout the complex. "Commander," Lieutenant Nam reported over the communication system, "we have a problem. 3 human battleships just entered the system, and they are not responding to our communications." Through the facility's external monitors, Yang watched as the approaching ships took aggressive positions around the planet. These were not Earth Federation vessels, but ships from the awakened human colonies where genetic memories were strongest. "This is Admiral Cho Sung-min of the Terran Hegemony," came a broadcast from the lead ship. "All personnel will evacuate the facility immediately. This technology is too dangerous to remain in alien hands." Yang activated the facility's communication array. "Admiral, this is Commander Yang of the Joint Expedition. We are working to find solutions that benefit all species." "The time for cooperation is over, Commander. Our awakened populations have made their choice. Humanity will resume its rightful role as galactic rulers, and alien species will accept their designed purpose." The implications were terrifying. The awakened human colonies had formed their own government, separate from Earth, and they intended to use ancient technology to enforce alien servitude. "Admiral, please reconsider. We can find a better way. The better way was designed millions of years ago by beings far wiser than us. The galaxy will be united under human leadership, as it was always meant to be." Yang looked at her mixed team of human and alien researchers, all working desperately to understand technology that could reshape the galaxy. "Dr. Kang, how long do you need to download the genetic modification data?" "At least 6 hours for complete files." "We do not have 6 hours." Yang turned to Dr. Veltar. "Can your people's ships hold off the Terran Hegemony fleet? Some of our species are genetically programmed not to fight humans. Others have overcome that programming, but lack the military power to resist." The facility's sensors detected energy buildup in the approaching ships. They were preparing to use force. "Commander," Dr. Yerim called urgently, "I found something in the master files. The ancient humans built a failsafe into their entire system." "What kind of failsafe?" "If the genetic programming ever became too destructive, if it threatened the survival of the species it was meant to protect, the entire system could be reset." Yang rushed to her station. The failsafe protocols were incredibly complex, requiring activation codes that were split among multiple genetic templates. "Can we activate it?" "It would require genetic material from multiple human and alien species, processed through the facility's master systems, and it would be irreversible." "What would happen to the programming?" "All artificial genetic modifications would be removed. Every species, including humans, would return to their natural evolutionary state. The approaching ships opened fire on the facility's defensive systems. Ancient shields flared to life, but Yang knew they would not hold indefinitely. If we activate the failsafe, the alien species lose their enhanced intelligence and technology, Dr. Veltar said. But they also lose their compulsion to serve humanity, Dr. Kang pointed out. And humans lose their enhanced capabilities, Yang added. We become just another species in the galaxy. Through the communication systems, they could hear reports from across the galaxy. The Terran hegemony was demanding surrender from alien governments. Some were complying, their populations too affected by genetic programming to resist. Others were fighting desperate battles against their own compulsions. Commander, Lieutenant Nam reported, the Devourers have been detected at the galaxy's edge. They are moving faster than predicted. We have 30 years, not 50. Yang looked at the failsafe controls, then at her team of humans and aliens working together despite their genetic programming. If we reset everything, can the galaxy still defend itself against the Devourers, Doctor? Yerim was running calculations. Natural species would have to develop defenses from scratch. It would take longer than 30 years, but if we do not reset, the galaxy tears itself apart in civil war before the Devourers even arrive. The facility shook as the Terran hegemony ships intensified their attack. In the distance, alien reinforcements were arriving, but some were fighting each other as much as the human fleet. Yang made her decision. Begin the failsafe activation sequence. Commander, Dr. Veltar said quietly. You are choosing to doom the galaxy to save it from itself. I am choosing to give every species the right to make their own decisions, even if those decisions lead to extinction. The activation process required genetic samples from multiple species and complex authorization codes. As the team worked frantically, the battle outside intensified. Failsafe at 60%, Dr. Yerim reported. But the facility's power systems are failing under the attack. Yang watched the battle through external monitors. Ships from 16 species fought in chaotic patterns, some attacking humans, others defending them, many simply trying to escape the conflict zone. 80%, Dr. Kang called out. The reset signal is beginning to propagate. Across the galaxy, the genetic programming that had shaped civilization for millions of years began to shut down. Alien populations suddenly found themselves free of compulsions they had never understood. Human colonists lost access to genetic memories that had seemed like divine revelation. 100% activation achieved, Dr. Yerim announced as the facility's lights dimmed and failed. The battle outside suddenly changed character. Ships that had been fighting with desperate fury found their crews questioning why they were at war. The genetic drives that had pushed species toward conflict or servitude simply vanished. Yang and her team were evacuated as the ancient facility shut down permanently, its purpose finally fulfilled. On the journey back to neutral space, they received reports from across the galaxy. The Terran hegemony had collapsed as awakened humans lost their enhanced abilities and ancient memories. Alien governments were reforming as their populations regained free will. The galaxy was confused and frightened, but it was free. Commander, Dr. Veltar said as they reviewed the situation.